what a beautiful day? Or are you having a bad day? Are you in a bad mood? And what kind of people have bad days? What kind of people have bad moods? Versus, I'm happy all the time and I handle all of my challenges and I overcome all the crap that comes into my life. And I'm asking the question because have you ever met people or have you ever been in a situation where you're about to go somewhere and you've met the person before and they were happy, friendly and lovely, and next time you see them they were grumpy and miserable and in a bad mood. And then the next time you go, you're not sure what to expect. So one time they were happy and one time they were grumpy, and what do I do now? And we can't control what other people do, I get that. But what about us? What kind of people are we? So are we the people who have to be inspired, pumped up, motivated because we're in a bad mood or we're having a bad day? Or are you the person that if somebody else is in a bad mood or they're having a bad day, that you can turn their negative, crappy day into a positive one? And again, I always ask the question because do we get to choose that? Do we get to choose if we're in a bad mood or get the hell out of a bad mood? Now, one of the best ways to get out of a bad mood, of course, is to, if you don't feel happy, if you're feeling grumpy, if you're feeling miserable, the best thing to do, of course, is to get outside, get some fresh air and sunshine, and get some exercise. So K-Man's training in his outdoor training area with Callum. They're doing judo. They can't be in a bad mood because they're pumping happy drugs through their brain. You cannot be unhappy and have dopamine, serotonin, and even because they're doing a martial art, so they're going to be having the stress drugs going through their body. Cortisol, epinephrine, adrenaline, they're pushing really hard, so their body is under pressure. So you can't be miserable. Your body literally cannot be sad, upset, depressed when it's fighting and flighting, and they're obviously fighting. And if you're sprinting, if you're jumping, if you're kicking, if you're lifting heavy, if you're getting puffed or both, then your body literally can't be unhappy. So here's a great question. If you're in a bad mood, could you choose to get out of it really quickly? If you don't feel happy, if you feel depressed, if you feel angry, if you feel frustrated, anxious, annoyed, any of those things that make us feel less than awesome, what if you got puffed? What if you lift heavy, or a combination of both? And the thing about the cortisol, adrenaline, epinephrine system, the fight and flight system, the phosphate fit, phosphate strong system, is it doesn't effectively work, or you can't work in the phosphate system unless you're going at 100% effort. And when you put in 100% effort and you get 100% result from whatever you're doing, then your brain fills up with dopamine, serotonin, brain-derived neurotropic factor, happy drugs, woohoo! So again, you can't be unhappy. So if you're exercising, you can't be unhappy. Endorphins are the really cool ones because they're the ones that give you painkillers while you're exercising and pump happy drugs while you're exercising and at the end of your exercise session. So if you want to change your brain chemistry, because could a bad mood be poor brain chemistry? Could a bad day be that you're not controlling what's going on in the day, so you feel... And I'll rephrase that. Is it possible that there are people who have really bad days and terrible things happen, but they still stay positive, they're still optimistic, and they're still solution finders because they're controlling their brain chemistry? If your brain chemistry is stressed and you don't disperse the stress, so you don't fight and flight, that's when you have those high blood fat levels, high blood sugar levels, elevated heart rate, elevated blood pressure. That's the state of dis-ease, yeah? Dis-ease. If you are feeling not at ease and you are diseased, is it possible then, of course, you head down the track towards being unhealthy, and the stress that you put into your body because it's not being dispersed ends up causing you some serious health challenges. And there's some medical professionals now who are saying that stress is the biggest killer because we're not huffy-puffy, because we're not lifting heavy, because we're not fighting and flighting and dispersing all the stress drugs. They're circulating throughout our body, and unfortunately that's causing dis-ease. So we've got coronary heart disease, type 2 diabetes, we've got brain challenges, mental health challenges, we've got Alzheimer's, dementia, all of the things that screw up our body and our brain because we're not huffing and puffing. So if you're in a bad mood, and I'm not saying that it's, and I find it difficult to say that because I was taught a really long time ago that you're either a nice person all the time or you're a grumpy person who's nice sometimes. Now, that's an opinion, of course, and somebody shared their opinion with me, but I really liked that opinion. I like the idea of being a nice person all the time and being able to handle all the challenges that are going on in my life, rather than, oh, Rowie's having a bad day. Imagine that. Imagine if I rock up for Romax. How are you today, Rowie? Not too bad. Wow. Not too bad is a double negative. I'm bad, but not too bad. What's with that? And then there's a great question to ask. Do we get to choose the words that we use? So if you don't feel 100%, if you feel grumpy, if you feel miserable, if things aren't going the way you want them to, how about fight and flight? How about get, puff, lift, heavy, or a combination of both? So you change your brain chemistry. Then you can't be in a bad mood. But even if you, and I don't know why you would choose not to do that, because it only takes 10 seconds to get out of your foggy brain, to get out of your anxious brain, your unhappy brain, your depressed brain, your miserable brain, and replace that brain chemistry with happy drugs. All you've got to do is put in 100% effort for 10 seconds. Phosphate fit, phosphate strong. Work your phosphate system, which is 100% effort. That pumps epinephrine, adrenaline, and cortisol. That, once that's dispersed and you've recovered, got your breath back, now you pump dopamine, serotonin, and brain-derived neurotropic factor, and you feel amazing. So there's a great place to start. If you're in a bad mood, if you're grumpy, if you wake up feeling not as the way you want to feel, and we all have days like that, don't we? We wake up, I don't feel very good today. And I always ask this question: when your eyes flutter open, there's a bee's willy of time, which of course bees' willies aren't very long, so there's a very short period of time where you get to decide what you're going to do with how you feel. So some days you wake up feeling amazing. Yes, I feel amazing today, I'm awesome. Versus, I'm having a bad day, or I feel terrible, or I feel tired, or I feel stressed. Now you get to decide what to do with that. You could let that take over your whole day and have a miserable day. You could choose that, yeah? But what if you decided, I'm not going to do that to myself today. I'm going to get up, sprint, jump, kick, pump happy drugs into my brain, and then your brain chemistry changes, and then you've got choice of a better day. Now, as the day progresses, we get to choose, and I'll ask the question, as the words are coming out of your mouth, do you get to choose those words? As you put thoughts into your head, do you get to choose those thoughts? So if you're thinking negatively, if you're talking negatively, could you change that? So if somebody says to you, how are you? You could say, not too bad. Or you could say, I'm awesome and getting better. I'm fantastic. I'm the sunniest day in the middle of summer. I'm the rainbow and the pot of gold at the end of it. Find some positive, happy words to use, because when you put positive, happy words into your brain, that's a decision, yeah? We get to decide the words we use, we get to decide the thoughts that we think. And if we are thinking positively, are we more likely to get a positive outcome and a positive result? Positive actions produce positive results. So what drives a positive action? Could it be positive words? Or could it just be action? Could you come and do some exercise? Could you do some outdoor judo in K-Man's outdoor training area? And these guys can't be unhappy, I'm going to say it again, even if they were grumpy and even if they came here stressed, they can't be anymore because they're fighting and flighting. So there's two parts there. One is we get to choose how we feel by changing our brain chemistry, and we get to change how we feel by using positive words rather than negative words. If somebody says to you, how are you? And you say, I'm stressed, I'm tired, I'm miserable, I'm grumpy, I'm depressed, I'm having a bad day, what hope have you got? You've just told your own brain that you're having a terrible day. There's this great quote that goes like this: lie if you have to, or tell the truth in advance. So when somebody says, how are you, rather than dumping your stuff on them and saying, I'm terrible, I'm stressed, I'm having a bad day, how about tell the truth in advance and say, I'm about to go sprint, I'm about to punch, I'm about to do a fight and flight episode with my body, which means I'm then going to pump happy drugs into my brain, which means I'm going to be awesome. Which is a whole different word choice, a whole different mental headspace. It's a whole different activity, results, outcome, yeah? We can choose to be miserable and grumpy and complain and whinge and moan and gossip and criticise and have a terrible day. Is that a choice? And even if we feel like doing that, could we take 10 seconds out of that headspace, do some jump squats, do some push-ups, punch a bag, run through some soft sand, jump on a piece of exercise equipment, go flat out, get puffed, change our brain chemistry, and then think differently. And could we choose the words that we put into our brain? Could we choose the words that come out of our mouth? And that's a choice, yeah? If you choose to be grumpy, then you have to deal with the consequences. Would that be fair? And I always ask people this question. When you ask somebody how they are and they tell you, I'm stressed, I'm miserable, I'm anxious, I'm depressed, I'm having a bad day, did you really want to hear that? Do you want more people in your life who are telling you how bad their life is? Or would you love to invest time with people rather than waste? Would you like to invest time with people who turn every negative into a positive? Every bad situation, they look for something good in that situation. Wouldn't that be a nice person to hang out with rather than I'm grumpy, I'm miserable? And then there's that inconsistency. If you've got a reputation of being happy all the time regardless, awesome. If you've got a reputation of being grumpy all the time, that's a bit easier to deal with because at least people know what to expect. But if you're a combination of the two, that's when it becomes very complicated. And is it possible that in a personal relationship with your friends and family, in your intimate relationships, that can be very complicated and can cause some serious challenges in a relationship? I've had people say this to me, I've got to go home, but I'm scared to go home because I don't know what to expect. Sometimes my partner's happy and sometimes they're grumpy. Sometimes my partner's in a good mood and sometimes they're in a bad mood. One of my clients once said to me, my wife, when I go home, sometimes she's an angel and sometimes she's the devil. And I never know which one to expect. Now, some people might say that's exciting because you're guessing all the time. I don't want to live my life like that. I want to be a happy person for all of the people in my life. I love that the people in my life are happy for me. When I invest time with K-Man tonight, he's always a happy guy and he's never ever in a bad mood. I've known him for over 30 years now, and I have never seen him in a bad mood, never. He just handles everything with the same attitude, positivity, optimism, solution finding, because we always say at this house, is panicking ever part of the solution? Is being grumpy, negative, depressed ever part of the solution? If you want to be a solution finder, you have to have a headspace that can find the solution. And that comes from getting past fight and flight, lift heavy, so that your brain chemistry changes. And the big one there, of course, is brain-derived neurotropic factor. If you've got neurotropic factor, brain-derived neurotropic factor, BDNF in your brain, that's fertilizer for your brain. So it fertilizes the fight and flight system. It fertilizes the dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin system, makes all of those neurotransmitters work better, so that everything that's going on inside your brain is going to be more positive, going to be happy, going to be clear thinking, more creative, be able to find solutions. So if you are a parent, a teacher, a coach, a boss, a leader, a pastor, and you have to be a solution finder, people are relying on you to be positive. You can't be the person that's in a bad mood, because nobody really wants to hang out with somebody in a bad mood, do they? Have you ever heard that expression? Oh, she's just in a bad mood, leave her alone. I don't want to have that reputation, and I make sure that I don't, so that every time, let's be realistic, we all have bad days and crap happens and terrible things happen and people treat us badly and gossip about us and criticise us and things happen. I get that. I have that all the time. I love it. I absolutely love it when people criticise me and gossip about me and pull me down and people put negativity into my life, because it gives me an opportunity to be strong. I don't want to be a negative person. How about you? I don't want to be a person who has a reputation for being in a bad mood or being inconsistent, or sometimes Rowie's happy and sometimes she's not. I get accused of the opposite, which is Rowie's always happy. And I love this, because some people, they go to say, Rowie, how are you? And then they say, I already know how you are. You're always happy. You're always positive. It's almost like annoying that Rowie's happy and positive all the time. Well, I can't not be. Like the guys that are fighting and flighting, every 15 minutes I get puffed, or I do some push-ups, or I lift something heavy, or I'm always doing something to keep my brain, my neurotransmitters, my brain chemistry in a positive space, because I don't want to be in a bad mood. I don't want to be a negative person. I definitely don't want to be stressed. Stress for me is the best thing ever, because it forces your body to go into fight and flight. That forces your brain then, after you've foughted and flighted and foughted, woo! Now you have dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin if you're exercising with somebody else or with your puppy dogs or with your partner. And now you have brain-derived neurotropic factor. Happy drugs create happy people. So why not create your own happy drugs? Wouldn't that be awesome? How about create your own happy drugs? Woo! Thank you for coming to Romax. My name's Rowie, and I'm here every single day to make sure that you get the tools. I'm learning every day. I love sharing what I'm learning every day and the tools that I'm applying to my life, and I'd love you to apply to yours are how to be healthy, fit and strong for the rest of your life, how to have a career or business that you love, how to be financially free, and how to have great people in your life. And if you're the best person in your life, isn't that awesome? Because then if nobody else is there, you can still have a great time. Super duper doo, how are you? I'm sure you are amazing. Woohoo!